Yo, guys, my name is Anthony. Thank you so much for joining us here on Inter Worldwide. I really appreciate it. I hope you appreciate it. And it's time. It's time to talk about Verona. Just let me know in advance if you guys hear an echo or anything wrong with the audio. Trying out some different devices, trying out a couple of different things as well, but having a couple of difficulties along the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just pretty much going to talk to you guys today about Verona, and anybody that wants to come in and call in, feel free. Anybody that wants to come in and have your say, feel free as well. I like this comment that has come in straight away from Mighty Mouse saying glad to see Dzeko and Lautaro for once, even if Inzaghi had no choice. We're going to get to Inzaghi's choice, and we're going to get to everything else coming up for our match against Verona, which is pretty critical. I'm going to have to say it's pretty critical. We had that really good win against Juve, which propelled us in the direction of, we probably can win the league still if we were to go ahead and put together the run of form that we need to, and to put together the results that a champion team would put together. And that starts with Verona, and it keeps going to Spezia, and it carries on after that. So let me know if anybody's coming into the chat, and we'll have a little bit of a preview to preview Verona, who are not going to be easy. A host of good players, a really big host of good players, and it's going to be tough for us to contain all of these players. We don't have an extensive injury list ourselves. We haven't had an extensive injury list all season, actually, to be honest, and I think that might really come in favor today. There's 9 people here at the moment, which is really, really good. I really appreciate that. Let me know who's coming through. We've got Lord Figo in here as well, always claiming his Scudetto from the get-go. How's the audio, guys, compared to what it normally is? Can you tell I'm using a microphone? Does it sound distorted? I want to use these couple of streams over the next 2 games to really narrow in properly and to make sure that I'm not leaving any quality underturned or foregone. But going over to the fixture once again, it's going to be gutsy. Really, really gutsy. Should we start with us or should we start with the opposition? Let's start with us because we're at home. Now, the predicted lineup that you're about to see on the screen is most likely going to be the lineup that we put forward. Recently, we've had a couple of games where Sky Sports has predicted the lineup, but it has been a shitty lineup that they have predicted. Thanks, Pierre, for letting me know the sound sounds good. I'll have to do some touching up next time because I can hear... I'm using my phone audio, but I don't think that's using the microphone properly, and I'm hearing an echo in my headphones. I'll have to change it up based on whether or not we've got guests on here or whatnot. So thank you for letting me know. Let's look ahead to Il Ragazzi. And the only change in our lineup from the last fixture, we got 2 changes in our lineup. Lautaro obviously coming out for Il TUCO, Joaquin Correa, and the other result is that De Vrij is coming back to play centre-back for the first time in a long time. I think it's actually 2.5 months. Is it really 9 weeks? Am I reading this correctly? Has this guy spent our last 9 games? So we've probably doubled up on 2 of those games, 3 of those games. So Stefan De Vrij has missed the last 8 competitive fixtures. That's absolutely bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Matt Pickham's coming in, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of altering with what's going on here. Matt, how you doing, bro?
Good, bro. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, my man.
Yeah, man. It's good. Weekend's almost here.
It'll be a much better
coming up.
It'll be a much better weekend if we can get 3 points again, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
How are you looking at this lineup going into it? Are you happy to see TUCO get a run over Lautaro? I know his hand has been forced, but our hand has been forced in more ways than one because apparently he's already played his fixtures that enabled us to turn that option into an obligatory purchase, sitting at about 31 or 29 to 31 million. If there's ever a time for this brother to step it up and at least not leaving us feel like we're completely bombed out, it's this game and the next couple of games after that. So welcome back to the channel, Matt Pickham. How you feeling looking at that predicted lineup for Hellas Verona?
I don't mind. Like, De Vrij is obviously back in the defense there. I almost wanted Skriniar to stay in the middle because he has been so good over the last month there. If we look at the rest of the team, it's pretty normal, except for, as you said, the strikers up front. I wouldn't have actually minded Dzeko maybe being put on the bench, maybe Sanchez getting a run, but yeah, Dzeko, he seems to sort of be missing at the moment, so hopefully he can find some form, because we really need him at the moment.
It'll be a switch up in the attack, something that we've needed for a while. And it just hasn't been gelling all season, no matter what combination that you put together. When you really look at the table and the season and you see that we're still the most attacking side, scoring the most goals, you're sitting there wondering how. I know there was a couple of games this season. Actually, I think we might have hit 5 3 times this season. Cagliari once, Salernitana twice. So there's 15 goals on 2 opponents. So there are problems, big problems, because those are 15 goals stretched across 2 teams in the relegation zone. And when you throw into the account that we had a goalless draw against another side in the relegation zone, things aren't as pretty as they seem statistically. We've relied on some pretty big influences from our wings this season, in the sense that Ivan Perisic and Denzel Dumfries are contributing just as much in attack as our front line. It's a luxury that come next season, if we can fix our attack, Matt, we might be looking at it going, wow, we've got some extensive depth in terms of goal scoring and goal providing opportunities. But going into this game, everybody needs to be alert. Everybody needs to be on call to take as many opportunities as possible. I have no doubt we'll create them, Matt. It's just a question of whether we can finish, bro.
Yeah. And even too, like Dumfries he's really been good this year in, bagging a couple of goals here and there, which has really helped us get on track. But you look at our strikers up front, like Correa has 4 goals I think this season with 2 braces. Yeah. One of them
2 braces, so goals against 2 opponents. That's it. Yeah. Udinese, Hellas.
So you look at it, it's not very. I guess we're not seeing a lot of confidence come from our strike force. Perisic, he hasn't scored as many goals as he had in previous years, but he's been really good in other ways. Assisting and even in defense, he's been really, really good. Even against Juventus, he was fantastic in defense. But yeah, we need more goals for our midfield. Maybe they need to stand up a little bit more, because our strikers are struggling.
Hakan had a decent start to the season. He's piling on a couple of stat padding goals from the spot. I think that he's going to be crucial in this match, along with Brozovic and Barella, to just unlock that Verona midfield, which is no easy beat. You've got Faraoni in there. I know Barak will probably push up a little bit more. Simeone is in absolutely devastating form. Caprari is always going to try and sniff around. And that's just me saying the names without even looking at the lineup. This Hellas Verona side, under former Juventus assistant manager Igor Tudor, has just been performing really, really well. Giovanni Simeone would love to get another goal or 2 against a bigger opponent to keep propelling himself up into that stature of, am I scoring for a mid-table Serie A team, or am I ready to go to another team? Because, he's had a couple of those chances in his career that have gone begging, but this one is really grabbed with open arms. So moving away from our lineup, Matt, I'll ask you first, based on what I've just said, where are the threats going to come from in the opposition? Because I'm looking at this team right now. It's not going to be easy, man. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, you're right. Simeone up front, he's been in fantastic form all year. I like Faraoni. Like, I'm pretty sure he's an Inter youth from memory.
Yeah.
So you look, and he always performs against us, even though he's not maybe scoring goals or assisting. He's always very dominant. I think he usually plays in the midfield, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the rest of their team, look, they're solid in defense. Yeah, I think Simeone's the big guy. Comprari's good, but Lazovic is good. They've got just really solid players, but they are a mid-table team. I wouldn't see these guys really fighting for the top 6. Atalanta should wrap that up, I'll think, but
this is the side that you want to play at this point of the season, man. Regardless of what anybody says, I know there's no such thing as an easy game, but the sides you want to avoid at this point of the season are ones that are still vying for a position on the table or a certain accolade or incentive. This Verona team is not going to make a European spot. They have not once come close to flirting with relegation. They know that they're in the meaty end of the table, and they've got very little to play for in between now and the rest of the season. Besides Simeone probably wanting to stat pad himself and score as many goals as possible. And yeah, man, these are the type of games that you just need to win. Like, if you're going to drop points against Verona and Spezia in the next 2 weeks, don't tell me that we're going to challenge in match day 37-38. It should be a routine 3 points for a team trying to become champions.
Yeah, and Verona too, they're in 9th at the moment, 7 points off 6th. So even with a win, it's still very unlikely that they'll be fighting for that top 6. So we have it all to play for at the moment, where they might be a bit hesitant.
11 people with us on Inter Worldwide. Make sure you like the video. Let us know if you are new. Thank you very much for tuning in. This could be a match day, Matt, where we can take advantage of some difficult fixtures from our rivals as well. You know, Juve go up against Cagliari in Sardinia. Cagliari are crap, but at this point of the season, crap sides fighting for relegation safety all of a sudden turn into tricky fixtures. Gio's coming in. You're not that late, man. You're about 10 minutes late, but we're not sticking around for too long today. We just want to know, Gio, how important is it to grab these 3 points to keep moving forward? Because that win against Juventus, let's spend a little bit of time talking about that, Matt. I didn't expect us to win. I'm sure you didn't expect us to win, knowing that you possess the same characteristics as an Inter fan as I do. But what this did was present us with another opportunity. You get 6 points back-to-back now against Verona and Spezia, and you can almost guarantee that you end up at match day 37 within striking distance. And I keep stressing match day 37 to everybody because that's a match day where as long as you're within 1 point, you can go on top. Atalanta are pretty crap at this point of the season. There's nothing to say that Milan can't go over there and just turn them over the same way Napoli did. But if you're going to tell me that Milan going to match day 37 against Atalanta and we're still within striking distance, it's good enough for me. I just want to be in that striking distance, match day 37, 38, to go to the end of the season still in the title race, Matt, because we haven't been fantastic this season, but we've been good enough to not have it all thrown away by match day 30 in the derby last weekend.
Yeah, you look at it too, like we were pretty much playing damage control since January. That's all it's been, and for us to be 4 points with 1 game in hand, I know we keep speaking about the game in hand, and I think Bologna last week, they drew
to Milan a couple of days ago.
So you look at it, they're not going to be an easy beat, but we're within striking distance, as you're saying. Like, we're going into match day 33 now, I think it is, and 8 games remaining, I think we have, compared to the others. So if we need to keep that momentum going. That Juventus game was ugly. Like, we got dominated in many parts of that match. We couldn't get any shots. Our midfield pretty much couldn't distribute the ball to our strikers. Just everything went wrong, but we got the win against Juventus. So we have to keep positive from that.
We have to back it up, man. You can't go and win a derby for the first time in 10 years in Turin and then lose at home or draw at home to Verona at this point of the season. It's all about momentum, man. It's more about momentum than who you've got in your next fixture. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
We've got to win this one, bro, because if we can win this one and go into Spezia with maximum confidence, we've got Roma at home and then Bologna to make it up. Like, I have a lot of confidence that if we're in a title race, Mourinho will roll over and die. And I swear to God, he'll do it against us because he's that sort of bloke and that sort of manager. But getting past Verona and Spezia, so important going forward. So, Matt, my question to you is, what's your prediction for this game? And I'm also going to ask you for your prediction against Spezia as well, because these two games are going to come within 6 days of each other.
Yeah, I think 2-0. I think we'll win 2-0. I see it being a very close match. I see possession being even. I see us hopefully getting a lot more shots on target as we were previous weeks, because the last couple of weeks we've been really bad. So if we can get a few more shots on target, hopefully Correa with some energy and some pace can run through the midfield like he does, add something that we haven't seen for a while, because Correa was obviously injured and we didn't have that other aspect to our game. So let's hope for a 2-0 win and get some confidence into Spezia.
The back line is their weak point in Verona. Gunta, Ceccherini and Casali. It's not good enough to contain an Inter side if we come out guns blazing. What is guns blazing? Get Perisic to cut inside, deliver as many crosses as possible, Denzel Dumfries included. The first 20 minutes of this match, man, if I was Inzaghi, I would be telling the boys to suffocate the living shit out of this side. The first 20 to 25 minutes, shoot from everywhere, cross from everywhere, rattle them, completely rattle these guys, because I feel like this is a game where we can finally get an early goal. We haven't gotten an early goal for so long, man. Like that would decide a game and decide a fixture. I wouldn't even count the first goal against Salernitana or Juventus as one of those goals. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about one of those games where we come out of the gates, score a goal super early, and look like we have got nothing but an ideal situation where we are pegging them back until the last minute of the game.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm used to Lautaro actually scoring those very, very early. Like a nice
Under
volley.
Conte, he did it perfectly.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know who's going to supply that. I think a midfielder has to be the one, because right now, Dzeko up front, he's not really giving us much. It's a lot of old man play. As a substitute, he would be perfect, but right now we're having to start him, which is not ideal. But yeah, let's hope we can get maybe a 2-0 win. Even those goals before half-time, just get some confidence, because
yeah,
you're right. Like, we've scored a penalty. We had a scoreless draw against Genoa. Before that, Fiorentina. We weren't really looking very good in that. So we just need goals, banging goals. Get the energy levels up.
You need to do what you did against Salernitana, against a team that's not as poor and coming last like Salernitana.
Yeah,
that's what you need.
It was good. Look, if we would have lost that game last week, I think everyone's hearts would have broken. But because we've beaten Juventus at Juventus,
there's still hope, and it's the hope that kills you.
And you look at it too, like AC drawing to Bologna. Like, I expected a 4-0, 5-0 thrashing from them against Bologna, and they didn't. And they actually, like, I watched the last 15 games. All they were doing was, last 15 minutes. All they were doing was just crossing in. That's all they could do, because Bologna parked the bus against them.
Yep, fair enough. I'm going to go with 2-1. I don't see it being as easy as we want it to be. I see it being one of those results where we're comfortable on the ball. We don't give the opposition too much to work with, but every time they get the ball in the last 20 minutes, we've got 11 behind it, and it turns into Spalletti-esque level days defending at the back. Hope not. My mate Mike is coming through. Definitely need an early goal to take the pressure off. An early goal in this game, you win it, bro. It's not a game that you're going to equalize or lose if you can grab an early goal. That's what I think. There's 17 people on Inter Worldwide right now. Make sure you like the video. Let us know if you are new as well, and we can start moving into some headlines that aren't related to Verona. But any last words from my guest, Matt, about Verona before we move into something else?
Yeah, just a question for you. So if Verona do go 1-0 down, does their mentality completely change to go all out attack? Or if they stay at 0-0, are they happy with the draw for the full 90?
Oh, they're very happy with a draw. Very, very happy with a draw. As I said, they're not going for European spots. They're not getting relegated. A point away at Inter for this mid-table side is an absolutely brilliant result. That's why it's so important to get that early goal. The longer you go on, the every 3 to 4 to 5 minutes that you add on, not in front, they're just going to sit deeper and deeper. And who knows, man, what happens if it's 0-0 in the second half and all of a sudden they hit us on the break and Barak to Simeone, and it ends up like clockwork. I can already see it now. So to answer your question, bro, we need to come out guns blazing in this one to avoid any sort of late anxieties.
We're down 1-0 last game, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It was right in that meaty chunk where we were going down to teams all the time and then coming back to win. I think at one point we were the best turnaround side in Europe for the first 10 to 12 games.
Yeah. So hopefully we don't do that, because I don't want to have a heart attack on Sunday morning.
Yeah, it'd be nice to go through this weekend without a heart attack. Absolutely, man. We've got a couple of positive headlines to go through. Sort of like that spoiled for choice thing where you can still make a bad decision at a farmer's market, bro. But Lukaku, Dybala, that's one way of moving forward. There's another way of moving forward. Scamacca, Raspadori, maybe a striker from overseas. The way I see it, Matt, brother, if you can get Bremer sorted, the rest falls into place. You get Bremer, we're automatically a title contender next season with the existing attackers we've got in this side. And I mean that with my chest. Our attack has been awful this season. we're still Scudetto contenders. You replace De Vrij with someone like Bremer, we're Scudetto contenders regardless of shifting the attack. You get Bremer, you sell De Vrij, and you figure out the attack to a certain extent, all of a sudden we go into next season feeling very, very good. So if it was your decision, Matt, in an ideal situation where you are now Beppe Marotta's right-hand man and right eye as well, if I'm allowed to say, what do you do, bro? How do you move forward? Is it the Dybala-Lukaku model to sort us out for the next 1 to 2 years? Or are you going to pay the hefty Serie A tax and take the gamble on a Raspadori or a Scamacca? Because you can't loan for those young boys. You're going to have to pay Sassuolo bags. Whereas for Lukaku, you can probably go to Chelsea and offer them 60% of his wage, which would sit around 7.5 million. Then you can pocket Dybala for 0 up front. In terms of making our books look green and subsidizing the whole debt situation we've got going on, makes a lot of sense to go for the more veteran players.
I'm against Dybala in the way that he doesn't impress me. He's been great for many, many years, but lately his attitude, maybe because it stinks, maybe he's playing, I guess, not up to his standard. But if you would have asked me which player from the Juventus team I would have taken, Dybala's not even in my top 5 from that game last week. I mean, from that game last week. I mean,
yeah,
he did not impress me in that match at all. He had so many shots which didn't even hit the target. That's just another Dzeko. That's another Lautaro we've got. You know, we don't need that. Where if you bring Lukaku back, Lautaro's stock goes straight up. We know how they play together. In terms of spending, I don't think we can even afford to spend. Like all the headlines, unless we get a new owner, we're not spending. Like
we can't spend.
Nah.
People throwing around figures like 30 mil for Raspadori, 35 for Scamacca. I'm like, bro, unless you sell Toro, you can't get these players.
And FFP is back too. They're on our ass. Like, you saw what happened, 4 or 5 years ago when they pretty much charged us with overspending and all that. We got kicked out of Europe. Like, or we almost got kicked out of Europe. But just something like that. I don't want Dybala. I don't want another wage that in 4 years' time we can't get rid of. You know, we got that with Sanchez, with Vidal. These guys are already on big money. I don't want to add a Dybala on an 8.5 million. That's
what if we were to get all these boys out that are milking a wage? Because, you know, Sanchez, Vidal, Kolarov, Vecino, they're pocketing 16 mil between them. None of them get the field time that justify their wage. I mean, I know Sanchez has had his couple of clutch moments, and Vidal had that goal against Juve and a good performance against Sassuolo and Fiorentina. For me personally, like if Arturo Vidal leaves at the end of the season, that's great with me. I still consider him a successful signing. I know it's not the signing you want to make for your future, but it is what it is. Conte wanted to guarantee the Scudetto. Vidal made sure we guaranteed that Scudetto. I think if you can get Sanchez, Vidal, Vecino, and Kolarov out, you've got that wage space to move with for another year, which will probably used on a Dybala and a Lukaku. For me, bro, you got to win the title, because you win the title, you can make mistakes in the Mercato. You don't win this title, everything looks like a reach. And I've said this on every video I've done since the rumor broke. You win the title, go for Dybala, get him. It's a present. You can look down at the people beneath you and go, even if this doesn't work, we don't care, bro. But you don't win the title and you go fishing for a player like Dybala, this blows up in your face pretty quickly for me.
Yeah, I think too, like strikers, you see how we're performing with the current strikers at the moment.
Funny dude.
This guy. You look at how we're performing at the moment with pretty much no strikers up front, and we're still finding a way to be in the title race, where I think the midfield is more important than the strike force at the moment. Like you look, so Barella was out against Liverpool. You brought in Vidal. Which player in the world could come in and perform like he did? There's not many.
Nope.
If you bring in Fratesi, just say from Sassuolo, he is not going to stand up in those big games like Vidal did.
And Conte had that very strictly to say in his first season where we weren't doing well in the Champions League. And he said, my players are great, but I just got them from Sassuolo and Cagliari. What exactly do you expect in the Champions League?
Yeah, that's true. And you look at it now, like which experienced player can we get in the midfield? I think that's where we need to aim. If Vidal does go, because he is on a massive salary, but in terms of what he can do for 30 minutes on the field, not many out there can do. So we need to find, I guess, that player that can allow us to keep this momentum going in a game. Because if we bring on a young guy, you don't know what they can do. So
exactly. Shout out to Danny on Twitch, Arsenal fan who also supports Inter and Inter worldwide. I love it. Dybala has been linked to Arsenal. None of us want him. He would flop in your team. He would flop in England altogether. He would be a disaster in England, in my opinion, man. Honestly, Dybala's only got about 2 good years left in him. That's why it's so important for us to win the title, Danny, to sign him. This is not a luxury player that we actually need. It's a player that we would get to rub salt in the wound of the Juventini, who 2.5, 3 years ago still wanted to sign Mauro Icardi out of spite for us. And I've said it time and time again, that sort of attitude only works when you're on the top, pushing people down. You don't do things out of spite for people who are above you that don't care. It's the full 180 of us going, Icardi, nah, we'll get Dybala for free while you guys are chasing us. So it literally all comes down to winning the title for me and Dybala. Brian, thanks for coming in. I haven't seen you in here very often. Thanks for coming back. Marcus Thuram, is he fit, affordable, and able to be a striker? Matt, I haven't heard much of him since he actually got injured for Mönchengladbach back when they were in our Champions League group. That rumor died out pretty quickly, so I'm not too confident on the guy. What are you saying?
Yeah, any player that comes off a knee reconstruction, they're a red flag for me straight away. He might, come back and bang in goals, but that knee reconstruction, you lose pace, you lose mobility, you lose agility, you lose everything with a knee reconstruction. So I'm a bit off Marcus Thuram. The guy I'm looking for is Jonathan David. He's the guy, look, young, quick. Imagine him with a Lukaku. Like, I know pretty much Lukaku would be a dream for some of us. For a majority, they don't want him. So
it's just so it's risky, man. You're never gonna get the Lukaku under Conte, but at the same time, let's not deny he's not a massive step up from not only our attackers but attackers in the league in general. He's had a rubbish season in Chelsea. So half of me says that he won't be able to recover mentally. Half of me says he goes beast mode when he comes back here. And it doesn't matter how he scores here. The same way it didn't matter how he scored under Conte. Doesn't matter if we're winning 2-1 and then he stat pads 2 goals at the end. As long as he's scoring goals and his ego keeps himself above water, he'll be really happy here and he'll keep winning games for us. And as you said, that chemistry with Lautaro is unparalleled. You can't go and sell Lautaro for profit and then bring in Dybala and Lukaku. Dybala and Lautaro are bum chums off the pitch, man. They're great mates. Lautaro's chemistry with Lukaku is unparalleled. It's a package deal with these 3 guys, man. But then if you're going to have all 3, you got to move players on. I really hope there's a strategy in the back room, Matt, to move on Correa. But how do you move on someone that we just made official? It's pretty much official that Sanchez will walk at the end of the season. But who's the next one to follow him out?
Yeah, you got to look like Vecino. He was heavily linked in January. Nothing happened from that. I think July, Vecino will go. He's not getting much playing time. He's pretty much useless to us at the moment. And when he does come on, he's not doing much. So if we can get maybe 10 million, 15 million from him, then yeah, I think we should go for it.
Fair enough, man. Last thing to talk about before we move on from today. It's been a nice preview. Thank you so much to Matt for joining me. Everyone in the chat, like and subscribe if you are new as well. Stefan de Vrij just finished a massive legal battle. You can tell that this has impacted his performances on the pitch. So he's been going through a whole agent lawsuit situation as well as something in his personal life. So I actually expect him to put in a big performance this weekend, but I'm 99% sure he's out the door, because there was even words from his agent today that said he has passed a nightmare period in his life. Not time to talk about a contract extension. You couldn't put it any clearer. This guy is being sold at the end of the season, and he's probably going to Tottenham Hotspur with Antonio Conte there. Matt, how are you feeling about De Vrij coming out? Because if he does leave, there'll be a whole stream dedicated to his time at Inter, and what a great servant and great player he was for us, even when he wasn't in our jersey yet.
Yeah, like you look at the last game he played when he fouled Icardi to pretty much get us into the fourth.
So intentional looking back on it, bro.
I actually love watching that game.
Me too.
Yeah, but with De Vrij, like he's been phenomenal. You know, ever since he joined, he was probably top 2, top 3 defenders in the league. Koulibaly's probably the only one who's outperformed him over the years. But De Vrij, yeah, he's been fantastic for Inter, fantastic for the rebuild. He's taught probably Skriniar so much. Same with Godin when we had him. So everyone has just worked really well together. And De Vrij, he's been critical in us getting back to that sort of top spot. If he does leave at the end of the year, I think it's the best thing for us and for him. I think he needs probably a change of pace, change of environment, if there is stuff personally going on in his life. And if we do bring Bremer in, there's no space for De Vrij. He'll be a bench warmer. So,
yeah, fair enough. Matt, thank you so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate you taking time out of your working day to spend it here on Inter Worldwide. We'll check in at sometime soon, and hopefully after 3 points with Verona, bro.
Fingers crossed, bro. Fingers crossed.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, speak to you soon. See ya.
Thanks to Matt. Thank you to everybody else who joined us here on Inter Worldwide today. I'll just give a little bit of housekeeping before we go. Make sure if you haven't already, sign up to our Serie A fantasy crew. Let's see if we can make any changes for this particular match day before we move on. Also, guys, I want you to head over to interworldwide.net and read Matt's latest article. We've got a very special visitor coming to Sydney next week on Wednesday to pick up some local talent. He's a former Inter treble winner, Scudetto champion, World Cup champion. Doesn't leave much to the imagination, so I'll let you guys guess. And we'll see if we can even catch a glimpse of the brother and one of our most glorified players, especially from my generation and people growing up in my generation. We absolutely loved this guy and everything that he stood for, a true Interista at heart. Vlahovic against Cagliari definitely scores, even under the shitty Allegri tactics. What is he, like 1 goal in 7 now? Come on. Piontek against Napoli. I don't think he's going to score, but I don't really have the budget to make any moves for him, but I still will anyway. Why not? Let's take him out. Tammy Abraham will probably score against Salernitana. Pasalic should have a good game against Sassuolo. Berardi, I'm keeping him in against Atalanta. I'm keeping Barella and Skriniar and Bremer in. Maybe Bremer can keep a clean sheet against Milan. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that just be the best thing since sliced bread? 21 people with us on Inter Worldwide. Like the video before you leave. Let me know who you are if you're new. I'll keep Quadrado. I don't want to touch my fantasy team, man. All right, let's pick a striker that's up against a minnow. An absolute minnow. Ciro Immobile against Genoa. Clockwork. Let's do it. Do I have any other Lazio players here? Just Zaccagni, Milenkovic, Theo Hernandez. Man, I love Serie A fantasy. The only criticism I've got about them is make it a little harder. Make it a little harder because there's too many players. Ooh, €6. Nah, we can't do it. We can't bring Immobile in and cost us €6. It's too much. It's too much, boys. Jeez, 12. He's such a big discrepancy from the one next to him. Do we dare go for Simeone and say that even in a worst case scenario that he scores against us, I get the fantasy points? Nah. Who's Sampdoria got? Oh, Bologna? Yeah, Ciccio Caputo's a good shout there. Let's go with Caputo to score against Bologna and to get us some points. Budget overflown. Oh, man. Piontek was on peanuts. Absolute peanuts. I don't really have the cap space to make another room. See what goalkeepers are available as a reserve. All right, let's get Consigny out. And this is going to be hard. Nope, can't do that. Can't do that either. We can go for Sergio Romero. No, we might need to reset the team. Piontek stays. Was Caputo that much more expensive? 7.8. God, pricey, man. Caprari Raspa. 5.8. Bang. Good move. Great move. We love that. We love that move. 2 players from single club. Yeah, he is. What third Sassuolo player is on that pitch? Raspa, Berardi. Team should only contain to max of 2 single clubs. Sassuolo. Maybe a little bit of a glitch there from the boys. Should be able to do that, guys. Never mind. Piontek gets the nod and he scores against Napoli this weekend to make everybody happy. How does that sound? Anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to go and join the league. We've got 74 members in there. Still top 4. Me occupying that last Champions League spot. Sawyer's getting pretty close, though. I haven't been able to make the gains on the other people that I wish I could have. Oh, well. Guys, there's still people who stuck around on this video. There's still 15 on you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We're going to check back in after Verona. If we get 3 points in this game on the weekend, full speed ahead. Let's look ahead to the maximum prize. My name is Anthony. Like and subscribe. Inter Worldwide.